Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Vicki Newman, a senior celebrity reporter for Mirror Online. And as you can see, I'm joined by a very special guest. It's Olympic skiing legend and Dancing on Ice contestant, Graham Bell.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good, Graham. How are you?
Yeah, very good, very good.
Are you still on a high from last night?
Yeah, a little bit. Last night was a bit stressful. It was kind of one of those first time doing it, first time performing it in very, very bright gold onesies. And it was a really fun number as well. It was really good. But then you got the stress of, will you have to skate off? Will you, and I actually really thought that we were going to be doing it. I was fully prepared for doing it.
It was tense because obviously it was down to you and Mylene at the end.
Yeah, and I'd seen last week. I think too much about these things, and I'd watched last week from the studio, and I'd seen that Denise Van Outen overturned like a 5.5 point deficit to avoid the skate off, and I was like, "Wow, Mylene's, she's a lot closer than she was only a couple of points behind, really." And yeah, so it all came down to the public vote, and I'm thinking, well, it was just the last two of us there, and I'd said to Karina, "So look, we're going to prepare for the skate off. We're doing it. We're 100% doing this." So while we were waiting there, I was just like, "Yeah, it's us. It's us. No, it's definitely us." And then we were the last two, and I was like, when I heard my name, it's like, thank God it's not us.
Yeah.
But, I said, look, the best way to go into this is with the full expectation of being in the skate off, because you don't lose anything by being prepared. Okay, you might lose a little bit of nervous energy and some, you might give yourself some grey hairs, but if they were to turn around and say, yes, it is you, if you fully thought that it's going to be you, then you're ready. And it's better to be ready than not ready, better. Yeah, it's better that way around.
You must have been a Boy Scout, always prepared.
Always prepared, yeah.
Everybody watching, if you've got any questions for Graham, you can drop them in the comments and I'll do my best to pass them all along. But yeah, obviously just last night it was incredible, well done. And you got such a high score as well for the first week. You were 26 out of 40. Obviously before Faye and Sonny came along, it was the highest score of the series so far. I mean, that must have felt incredible getting that score.
Yeah, no, I was very happy particularly with the scores from Chris and Jane. Those sevens were great, and to get that with effectively only really just over a week of training with a brand new partner, and Karina coming in and learning a routine that she'd never skated before, and yeah, it's complicated. It was a complicated routine that we had, a physically demanding and difficult routine, and yeah, she picked it up and absolutely nailed it. And I was very glad that I got this knee spin at the end there. Just a tiny little wobble. The amount of times that I basically ate it on that in training.
Really?
A little bit of a stumble there. So there's a few little things I was like, I could have done that a little bit better. Could have done that better. But I honestly think that was probably the best run through that we did. And I'm happy to never wear that gold onesie ever again.
Well, you should mention that because Carol's asking, was that suit comfy? It must have been quite hard to skate in, actually.
You know what? The suit was great when we were sitting in the studio and you don't move. It's perfect. You're nice and cozy, and it's like wearing a sleeping bag. But as soon as you start to move around, it's got zero breathability. I mean, it's the opposite of Gore-Tex. It just basically boils you in a bag. It's like being an oven-ready chicken.
Nice and warm for the rink, though, eh?
Honestly, when I took it off, we did a dress rehearsal the day before, and we did, I think, we did three run-throughs. So 3 times we did the routine with breaks. I came off after the dress rehearsal, and I had to turn the suit inside out, and the lining of the suit was just dripping.
Oh, lovely.
horrible, horrible. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with it afterwards, but they're going to have to get it dry cleaned because.
I mean, to be honest, I was thinking I could have had it off you, but I'm not too keen now. Thought that'll look lovely when I'm sitting at home doing that.
Wear it down the shops.
Yeah.
Funny. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, as we know, you were meant to skate in the first week, but you were given an extra week to learn your routine with, like you've said, with your new partner.
Yeah.
Sadly, because of what happened to Yerbin. I mean, how is she doing? When is she hoping to be back?
So I just spoke to Yerbin today. The stitches are out, which is great news. And she's been working so hard on her rehab. And yeah, she's been doing a lot of really, tough, tough physio, tough rehab on it. And, I think, as soon as they give her the all clear to put skates on, I think she'll just put skates on and hopefully we'll be up and running straight away. I mean, I think, fingers crossed. And as long as we stay in the show, I'll be able to get back together with Yerbin, which is kind of what, it's what I want to do, because I started with Yerbin and we did 3 months of training together. Nothing against Karina, because she's fantastic and she's come in and we've done a great job, and we're working on next weekend's routine now. I actually did a training session this morning. Oh, look at her there. Look at that split. That's fantastic. All I have to do is lift her up. It's just wonderful. It's dead easy. Just big solid base, lift, smile, and then she does just all the rest. It's great.
Yeah, people always wonder about that. Like, if it's harder for the man or the woman in the competition, is it harder to lift or to be lifted? What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I guess if you're physically strong and you've got good balance and you can create that good base, yeah. I don't know. I think there's pressures on both sides. I think the hardest job is the female pro, because she's got to trust an amateur, no matter how good that you get, in this show, you're still going to be an amateur, and to be lifted above an amateur's head and kind of, that's scary stuff. So I think they've got the hardest job.
Trust, haven't you?
Yeah, massive amount of trust. Yeah.
We've got a few questions coming in. So Shane wants to know, how long did it take to do the routine? Obviously, I guess when you switched with Karina, how long did you have to sort of learn the routine with it?
We only really had a kind of week to get it, sorted. So yeah, it was kind of, we didn't have much time to get things sorted. So I think, but prior to that, I've been working on it with Yerbin for, we started before Christmas. So we'd have had maybe 3 weeks before Christmas. See, that's the thing with this show, is that first routine and second routine get way longer training times. And then as you keep going in the show, you get less and less and less time. And you kind of you've only got a week to learn. And then as you really progress, they ask you to do 2 routines in a show. So you've only got a week to learn 2 routines. So, and there is an advantage to going in week 1 as well, because everyone who's been in week 1 has now had 2 weeks to learn week 3, and is probably already working on week 4. So it's only when you get to week 4 do things kind of even itself out, the difference between going in week 1 and going in week 2. But that's kind of, it does even itself out in the end. And that's the way of it.
Emmeline is saying that you loved your performance last night, and do you have any behind the scenes secrets that you can share with us?
What went on? It snowed. We built a snowman. I built a snowman.
Yeah,
it was me. I built a snowman. Yeah.
Did it have a name?
Ziggy the Schneeman. It was outside Vanessa's. It was kind of outside Vanessa's cabin. So we gave him a German name. I gave him a German name. We actually made a little pass for him as well. So that was quite cool. But yeah, I actually dumped yesterday, and down south it doesn't snow that much. It hasn't in recent years. It hasn't snowed that much down here. I know that there's been a lot of snow up north over the winter, but that was the first time.
You got to make
yeah.
Kyle wants to know if you've stolen anything from the Dancing on Ice studio, and he's saying that you once took an Olympic flag.
Oh, right. Yeah. So I've got that Olympic flag. I dug it out of my loft because I got arrested in 1984. The same year that Torvill and Dean won gold. I raced in my first Olympics. I was 18, and the men's downhill was one of the first events. And so basically did my competition and then had about 10 days in Sarajevo of doing a little bit of skiing, a little bit of training, but just being on an Olympic holiday. And it was brilliant. That's really great. But things got out of hand one night, and I was up a flagpole trying to get this flag loose, and managed to get it loose. And I was like, yeah, I've got it. Shouted down to my mates who I thought were down below the flagpole, and my mates had disappeared and armed police had replaced them.
Oh my God.
I shinned down the pole, and then they were like shouting at me, and I showed them my Olympic accreditation, and then they took me back to the Olympic Village. And they were like actually quite cool about it. And then they let me keep the flag, which was like brilliant. So ride home in a police car. But yeah, and then Sarajevo, then it all kicked off like 10 years later. I went back to the city. I was talking to Torvill and Dean about it because they've revisited Sarajevo after the games, and it was shocking that what went on there when they had effectively the civil war. And I went back in 2004 on the way to Athens. I pitched this idea to the BBC that I was going to do a show called The Road to Athens. And the idea was that the program was called The Road to Athens, but I pitched the idea was I'd actually just drive to Athens and stop along the way and do Olympic stories along the way, and then send them back to the UK. And we went to Sarajevo, and it's a lovely city. If you ever get a chance to visit, it's actually a really fun city.
For when we're allowed to travel again.
Yeah, when we're allowed to travel again. Yeah, no, that's.
I have to talk to you about your social media, because your Instagram has been incredible since you signed up for Dancing on Ice. We've seen you skating with a guitar, Groot, wearing a kilt. But there's one video in particular that I want to talk to you about. Okay, so let's just have a quick look.
So now a mate of mine makes the underwear. He's a Scot. He used to be on the British ski team, and they're called ball bags. I won't translate from the Scottish, but you kind of get the idea. And that particular brand, that particular model, is that right? Model, that design of underwear, the leopard skin thong. That was designed by James Woods, who's an Olympic freestyle skier. And so those are the Woodsy official ball bags that I was skating in. And the reason why I did that, I wasn't going to do it, but I'd just done the kilt one, and I was wearing them under the kilt. And then I took the kilt off, and I was like, oh, we should do this one as well. Stick Tom Jones on. I'll do this one.
Be honest, are you trying to use your raw sex appeal to get more goals?
It's raw, I think, is the operative word there. Anything I could do to get votes.
Exactly. But you do seem like...
I was actually, so you talk about gossip. Yeah, I was told by production that I couldn't undo my onesie too far. That was the one thing that they did say to me. Really? So, because in a dress rehearsal, I came down to the stop, and I just undid it right to and I went to start. I was like, God, I'm hot. And they were like, no, you can't do that.
Well,
You're only allowed to do it under it to here, and that's it. You can't pull it down.
yeah,
And beforehand, beforehand, I was skating. I was warming up. I was warming up with it down, and I was kind of like, waiting to go on. I was wandering around, stomping about like Russell Crowe in Gladiator. I reached down and took a whole handful of snow off the ice because when you skate on it, it kind of cuts up, and they call it snow. It's not real snow. It's just kind of ice crystals. But I took some of that snow and put it on the back of my neck, and I was like, okay, cool myself down a bit, and then pulled the onesie over, zipped it up, but then just boiled.
See, look, raw sex appeal. And you know what else? So, look, Diane, yeah. You've got a fan from Orange County, California. She wants to know if there's a way she can watch the show over there. She looks fantastic. She's hooked, and she's saying that you're very easy on the eye, Graham.
Oh, right. I don't know. How do you watch the show from the US? You probably need to get a VPN, virtual private network, don't you? Oh, well, I'm not sure if they're entirely. I shouldn't be saying that. You shouldn't get a VPN. If you do get a VPN, you can watch the show.
What can you tell us anything about your routine for musicals week? Is there anything you can reveal yet? What song you're doing or anything?
I don't know if we're allowed to reveal the song, but we were training it this morning.
Okay.
That's what it's like. I mean, I came back. I got home last night after the show, and sat down and just full of adrenaline. I couldn't sleep. Went to bed 11 o'clock. Woke up at like 5 o'clock, still full of adrenaline. Slept a bit more, and then at 7 I was like, just lying here. So got up, went for a run, and then went to the ice rink and trained for 2 hours. So it's kind of like, right, okay, just back on the horse. And yeah, so we are doing a tune from Greece, which is great because everyone loves Greece. And there's a complicated judges challenge as well next week as well.
Okay. So are you a bit of a Danny Zuko, do you think?
Yeah, either that or what's his name? Kaniki.
Yeah. So Caroline wants to know what's your biggest fear that you've ever come across?
What, dancing on ice? My biggest fear. I've already basically had that happen, which hurting Yerbin was my biggest fear, and that's already happened. So I think anything that happens from now on is good. It's happy days.
At least you got it out the way early, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, it's done. It's not going to happen again, I promise.
You mentioned earlier, and as we know, you were at the Olympics at the same time as Torval and Dean, but you were also at the Olympics with Eddie the Eagle, weren't you?
I was indeed in '88. Yes, yeah. So that was the next Olympics.
Yeah.
So Eddie's Olympics was '88, and yeah. So I knew Eddie from his ski racing days because we used to race quite a lot on dry slope, and Eddie grew up in Gloucester and would race at the Gloucester dry slope, and actually tried to get onto the British team. Didn't really make it that far as a ski racer, and I think I sold him a pair of skis once as well, because a pair that I hadn't, or I think I might have even sold him a racing suit. But he didn't make it, and then a couple of years later, we're like, "What? That's Eddie!" And he was jumping. He was jumping on on ski jumping, and it was like, "This is incredible," because I know how difficult ski jumping is, because I've seen ski jumpers training, and we used to go and do ski jumping and go off ski jumps when we were training for downhill. But we would not fly, we would just drop like a stone. And ski jumpers are incredibly light. They're like jockeys. They're almost like kind of flying squirrels. They eat nothing as well. Because my brother went to school in Austria with, and it was a ski race. It was ski racing, but also they had cross country athletes and they had ski jumpers. Now they got snowboarders as well, so it's like kind of all winter sports.
Yeah.
But they just look, they look like gaunt, really kind of thin all the time, thin little wiry guys, and so for Eddie to do it. And he's not really, he was kind of not, he didn't have the right physique, and to pick it up that late in life was just, incredible. But yeah, the Olympics in Calgary it went full Eddie mania at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously Eddie's journey got made into a movie starring Taron Egerton. So I want to know, if there was going to be a movie about your life and your Olympic career, who would you want to play it?
Oh, that's a good one, isn't it? Who would like to play it? Tom Hardy? It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Hugh Jackson? Yeah, Hugh Jackman. Yeah, Hugh Jackman. Yeah, Hugh Jackman. I don't know. I thought Taron Egerton did a great job in that film.
You did.
I mean, Eddie will even tell you that a lot of it was kind of artistic license. I mean, the biggest thing that's wrong about that film is that Eddie's father was massively supportive of him, but they wrote the Keith Allen character because it was better and funnier for the story. So Eddie's family were hugely supportive. He didn't even have really a coach as such, so the Hugh Jackman character didn't exist. And also, I think it was the Norwegians that were portrayed as the bad guys that tried to stop him. Whereas actually all of the international ski jumpers, they loved the fact that Eddie was there. But Nikkanen particularly, because he won the gold, he won double gold at those games, and he was Finnish. But the fact was, the way that ski jumping works is that the lesser jumpers, the less good ones, jump first, and it builds up to the final of the best 5 or 6 in the world jump last. Mm-hmm. And ski jumping was not big in Canada. It's not really that big in Canada. And so they were worried that they weren't going to get the crowds, and they built this big venue, and it was delayed because of wind. It was delayed for a couple of days, and they were worried because they'd had to delay it, and was the venue going to be filled? And then suddenly Eddie comes along, and the ticket prices, there were touts outside the venue selling the tickets for like 10 times market value, and it was just ridiculous. And all of the top ski jumpers were like, this is brilliant. Suddenly we've got this huge venue to jump into that's full of people that we were worried that would be empty. And people are watching all over the world. People tuned in for the ski jumping who wouldn't have normally watched it. So in that respect, Eddie did the sport a favor. But then it came down to, like, actually, is it safe for someone who with so little experience to be launching off, a 120-meter ski jump? And really seriously kind of thinking about it, the answer's probably no. So they put in qualifying criteria after that.
Yeah, no. Well, I'm glad it wasn't as mean as it came across in the movie, because that did make us sad. But back to you.
No, they weren't. No, they weren't mean. They weren't mean.
No, but back to you, Graham. It's all about you today. Lorraine is asking, and sorry if I pronounce this wrong because I'm not sure how to say it. Did you ever train in Aviemore?
Aviemore is right. Yeah. So Aviemore is the kind of like it's the home of Scottish. It is the home of Scottish skiing, really. So Cairngorm Mountain was where we trained as kids, and I grew up in Edinburgh. And it was actually where we first learned to ski, was on the slopes of Cairngorm. But what we would do is we had a caravan, and we would drive that up at the beginning of the winter, and we'd park it at Loch Morlich, the caravan site, which is about 10 miles outside Aviemore, and it's right at the bottom of the ski hill. And we parked the caravan there, and then every Friday after school, we'd drive up. Would kind of defrost the caravan, and then we'd ski Saturday, Sunday, and drive back down Sunday evening, and then go to school over the week. And we'd do that kind of all winter, every weekend that there was snow. And if we were lucky, we'd bunk off school on the Friday and go up on the Thursday night and ski Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Not that you're condoning that. Stay in school, kid.
Yeah. Well, we get a note.
Yeah. Oh no, Graham, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck for next week. I can't wait to see what you do with
Yes, yeah. Danny Zuko, here I come.
But yeah, so
probably be a pink shirt. I'm thinking pink shirt, maybe. At least it won't be so hot as the gold onesie.
Yeah, so Graham will be back on Dancing on Ice next Sunday at 6 o'clock. So make sure you tune in and give him a little vote. Make sure you stay.
Definitely vote. I don't want to be doing a skate off.
No, we'll keep you in. Thank you for your time, Graham. Bye.
Thank you, Vicki. Thank you.